What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Scream 6 a year after the movie has released. So it's been a wild year. It feels kind of surreal that not only has it been a year, and the year's gone very, very fast, but we were almost, well, okay, I know not everybody likes Scream 5 and 6, right? Or some people maybe liked 5, didn't like 6, whatever. But we've been spoiled in the sense that we've gotten these movies, back to back. We've had our Scream fill for a while, like for a very long time. And now it kind of died, this past November. It was going good until then. But, even looking forward right now, it feels a bit empty. It feels kind of rough not having Scream 7. I mean, Scream 7 I do think will come out and might even come out next year. But to have this gap year, it's understandable. Maybe not understandable for the situation that they put themselves in. It's understandable that you take a year off of a film franchise. It feels different, right? There's nothing quite like, I say it all the time, there's nothing quite like a Scream movie coming out. And whether it's good or bad, the lead up to it, watching it for the first time, right? Every scene is new for the first time. And that's something very special. And so I'll never forget doing it with 5, doing it with 6. And I can't wait for 7, even though obviously, we'll talk about that when we get there. Okay, Scream 6. Well, let's talk about it a little bit. Of course, you can let me know how you feel about it now. And I got to be real. And I mean, a lot of the stuff I still would echo exactly what I said a year ago. Again, crazy that we've done a review and we did all that stuff 1 year ago. This is a great film. And I'm going to say that. It's a great film, period, right? Is it a flawed film? Absolutely. We talk about this versus 5, and 5 played, I think, very, very safe, and 5, I do think, has aged better and better. I do believe that, upon rewatching it, right, a few times, I think 5 has gotten better. I don't know. I don't think it's my favorite. Well, it's clearly not my favorite. I don't even think it's in my top 3, but it's definitely, all these movies are somewhat close, here and there. It's a good film. 6, I will always respect 6. We can talk about the negatives, and of course we'll bring it up here, but I think what they tried to do something different, and they tried to do things that we, the fans, have been asking for at least some of us, for a very long time. And I will never take that away from this film. So although, and I will say, and I'm not from the outside looking in, but I guess just like looking at what other people say as time has gone on, I mean, there's more and more negativity. And look, I've always said for Scream 5, for Scream 6, for years now with you guys, I've always said you can think whatever you want. There's some people that hate 5 and 6. There's, people all over the place. I respect your opinion on it. And I do understand that 6 is flawed, but I do think I have respect for it. I have respect for the movie. And a lot of the things we talk about when we talk about, like, say, Sam, right? Like, 6 gave us that. 6 gave us an amazing main character. 5 did not. I mean, she was good at the end of 5. I mean, we've talked about that before, right? Where she really became, I'd say, a mainstay, and you could say you feel very confident with her as a lead, and she could be a lead for many movies to come. Maybe not even just Scream 7. We only got that because of Scream 6. The core 4. There was no core 4 in 5. Like, there really wasn't. Chad and Tara, well, you can talk about that individually, but also them as part of the core 4. None of that existed at all in 5. The almost like personal element that they infused into 6, I do think is the best part. I think looking at it a year later, the more like character decisions they made and their interaction and building that family, and they talked about that. Like, we knew they were going to do it, and then obviously you have to see the movie, right, to kind of formally see it, but we knew they were going to like focus on this family and this core 4, and they nailed it. I think they did a really good job. I think there's a lot of good characters in this movie. I've talked about Kirby before. I didn't, and this is more of like a me thing in terms of how I set my expectations. I think Kirby, number 1, was awesome. Not a fan of the red herring, right? Like making her potentially be, that was a real bad idea. But I think as a character, great. As an actress, fantastic. And she was in the movie so much more, and she was more impactful, including all the way up to the the final act, in the final, battle, basically. I did not expect any of that. I've said before, like, I thought she was going to be in it for like 5 to 7 minutes, and the idea that she would be killed off was pretty high in my head. I don't know what my prediction was necessarily a year ago, but I mean, I really thought they could do it, and I was almost like bracing myself for that kind of disappointment. but I was really impressed by that. The deaths were, now we can talk about the more like experimentation or the stuff that we complained about and they added. Now again, some of these things can lead to issues, but I will respect them for at least trying it. So you have the deaths, definitely more variety. Chases, more, there were chases, there weren't chases in 5, right? The opening, now I don't know if I'd say the opening is better. In fact, I do think I like 5's opening better, but the originality of it and what we had pitched, at least against some of us, a ghost face kills a ghost face, or 2 ghost faces basically going after the same target and they kind of, overlap. Now they hinted at that. They didn't go all the way with that, and that's maybe something you could do, another time, if you want. Basically 2 people going after, say, the same target, but for different agendas, right? But they had a ghost face take out a character, and that ghost face was targeted by the main ghost face and was killed. I mean, we did ask for that, and I mean, okay, I'll maybe stop saying we. I did. Like, I thought that'd be a cool idea, and I think it was. I think it was a cool idea. Is it something that is the opening something that sticks with me long after I see the movie or I think about? Not really. And you could dock points for that, but I think the idea of them doing something truly different was really cool. The 3 ghost faces, we actually got it. Let's not do 1. Let's not do 2. We've done both of those before. Let's do 3. They did it. Now, did they execute it perfectly? No, not even close. But they did do it. And again, I will give them credit for that. Some of the better scenes, the ladder scene, I will always like the synchronized, swiping of the blood off the knife. Like, there's a lot of great moments. We had a live stream about this a few days ago on the channel. We kind of went back and forth, with the chat. And one person actually did put it well, and I do agree. This was a movie of a lot of ideas, and it was stitched together kind of poorly. And I will say, I think that's most movies. I think, well, not maybe kind of poorly, that part, right? But I think the idea for movies, games, anything is you have like big set pieces, ideas, themes, things like that. And then you build the movie kind of around it, right? Like you have 6 things you want to happen and you arrange them and you build around it. And I would agree that like the concept of these ideas is probably better than the execution altogether, right? Because, again, the setting I'm trying to go through like all the positives, the setting of it just feeling different. Even the subway scene, which as time has gone on, I'm not a fan of how they handled that, but in terms of how it's shot and just the uniqueness of it, it is extremely, the movie is unique. It really is. No matter how you might feel about it, it is unique. It feels different. It feels out. It feels to me almost the same way that like 4 feels, where it almost doesn't belong, but in a good way. Like I like that kind of, because I almost feel like you have to do that every so often. And it still is very much Scream. It's not like, oh my God, you killed the franchise, right? It truly is not that to me. This feels very different or off versus the classic, but you need that to kind of break up the formula. Otherwise like 5, it kind of just feels, a little cookie cutter, like what's going to happen. I like that it's a little bit different. Now, again, is there issues that come about it? Yeah, but I guess to finish the positives, I mentioned the core 4 and stuff, but a lot of credit should be given to at least, like, Mindy really, as time has gone on, doesn't stand out in 6 at all. I do want her to have been killed off, the subway thing. She's fine. I don't think she's bad, but I just don't think she, elevates. Chad, Tara, Sam, right? Chad was phenomenal. And again, the genius that put Tara and Chad together should be awarded like some sort of medal, because they were in one scene together in 5, no chemistry. They didn't talk to each other. You wouldn't know. You wouldn't even think. You know what I mean? So somebody had to think that, put them together, and it absolutely worked. Sam, elevating her, fantastic. Tara, steady as she goes. She is not legendary or anything, but she's, I think, exactly what you kind of need her to be. The sister dynamic, not just the core 4 in that family, they absolutely nailed that too. But this, it's in 5. I rewatched 5 a few months ago. You can absolutely like feel the sister, kind of bond. It's much stronger, and it's a little bit more even complex, right, in 6. So I think they nailed that as well. A lot of positives. And again, I stand by, I still love this movie. I do. I don't know where I would rank it right now, but I still absolutely, I would say love. That would be the word. The film. Now, is it without its negatives? No. As I said, the opening, it's different. It's unique, but it doesn't really stick with you. The ending, the whole, the idea that Kirby could be the killer was a real bad idea. The very iffy acting of Dermot Mulroney was a problem. Now, I actually overall liked him. I still stand by that. There's just a couple lines that will always kind of, you know what I mean? Like, his reaction to Quinn dying is always something that's going to haunt me, where it's like, again, like, not to really attack his talent level, because I do think he's a talented actor, but like that specific moment, it's like, man, you had to reel it in a little bit more. You had to make it more believable. When he says like he understands what they've gone through so much in the shrine, it's like, man, the writing there wasn't good, and also the delivery there wasn't good. The whole, his whole speech, I like it and I don't like it. I think he's a little, like, he's goofy, but not like in the Stu Macher kind of goofy, or like Amber goofy or Jill goofy. Like, it's a different kind of goofy, and I don't know if it necessarily works. Now, somebody I will take kind of direct shots at is Jack Champion as Ethan. Terrible. I've said it day one. I will never change I don't hate the guy. I wish him, all the best as an actor and as a person, but that was not good. And that needed to have been somebody else, and maybe it could have been better, but just the entire movie, and some of it's the writing, right? Like, they make him too defensive. We talked about that before. Make him way too defensive of like, it can't be me. Like, I'm part of the friend group now, or I was at econ, all this stuff. It's like, for the love of God, chill, relax, and you're also the killer, because you just kind of come off like it. You look like it. You sound like it. Your lines are written like it. You're the killer. And then when he is the killer and he's kind of wacky, also not a good. I just don't think he's a good actor. So that one, Quinn, very good, but she can't really hold up, I think, 3 of them. So that was an issue. How they did Quinn, I'll never fully agree with the side of like how believable it was. Like, we are trained experts at this point. You know what I mean? The diehard Scream fans, the ones watching this video, right? Like, we are the diehards. We're going to notice stuff like that. I think the casual person, when you see the body being flown on Annika, right? It's like, I don't know. I think it would be believable enough. Now, we've seen that. Well, we haven't seen that specific trick, but we have seen the fake out death before with Roman, right, and coming back. So, I don't know. I don't hold it too much against the movie, because it's like, I think it was believable enough. I think, yeah, we were trained on it, but not everybody was, you know what I mean? So I don't really hold that against it. I will always defend the ladder sequence, by the way. Predictable, yeah, but that's only because no, it's not only because. 2 things. It's predictable because of the trailer. Annika is last, and she's already injured. Number 2, yes, by the sequence that actually happens, you also know it's her. She's the most injured. Sam's not going to die. Chad and Tara leave, so it's literally Sam, Mindy, Annika. It's not Sam, so, could it be Mindy? I suppose, but of course it's going to be her. So that's not ideal. Of course, fear of killing off anybody besides a few of these extra characters, I guess, right? That was a big problem with the movie. Again, I won't go too much into the subway thing, but we've made an entire video just talking about the subway thing. That was not great to me. You had to have killed Chad. I think, and I've said this before, you kill Chad and you kill Mindy, and the movie, I think, no matter how you feel about it, it elevates, right? Like, if you give this movie a 9, it becomes almost a 10. If you give this movie a 4, it becomes a 5 or a 6, just by killing those 2 off, I think. I know people always have problems with how they left Gail, and yeah, that's a little weird how they did that. I'm not the most, I know people are more mad than I am about it. I'm not thrilled, but I'm happy she didn't die. I love that sequence. The phone call is excellent. The chase is excellent. The fight is excellent. It's a great sequence. It's a great 5-7 minutes, however long it is. But it's just, leaving her like that. I don't know. I kind of like expected them to leave it like that, but of course it's like, well, you would like them to do more. But the way that it did, I don't know. I don't put as much into it as I know other people do. But yeah, I think just killing off Chad and Mindy would have made the movie significantly better, because they did everything they needed to do with Chad and Tara, and they made that relationship. They made it believable. Great actors, great chemistry, great writing, great all of it. Then you have the moment to take that away from her. You know what I mean? And that would have been very impactful, not just for her, but then for us. And you chose not. And you did it, and then you brought them, at the end. So that was a big mistake to me. The stakes, right? Like, we always talk about that. The stakes of this movie were not there. There's no deaths besides the killers and I guess Gail's boyfriend after like the 1 hour mark, or after Annika, right? So there's just those kind of problems with it as the movie goes. Again, it's definitely flawed. It's definitely not perfect. I think I think it's fixable too. I guess maybe that's one of the most frustrating things about the movie is like these are. I don't know if they're super easy to fix, but you can clearly isolate the moments that are fixable. If you have anybody, any of us, I suppose, not the saying like we're better than them, but having any of us kind of look over it and say, all right, do you want to have like one more scene with Gale? All right, I know how much you like Mason Gooding, but like you got to do. I think it makes sense for the arc. It makes sense for the movie, the stakes. Like you got to do it. Don't be afraid. Just somebody to like whisper in their ear to pull the trigger on like 2 to 4 things, and they would have been real good. Now, again, I think the movie's already real good, but it could have been even better, in my opinion. So, yeah, I don't want to make it too long. We've talked about this movie a few times. I'm sure we'll continue to as the years go. I like it. I like how original in the sense, again, it's a Scream movie. It's not going to deviate too much. I don't want it to deviate too much. But in terms of like playing in the playground that it's allowed to play in, it breaches like the edges as much as it possibly can, I believe. So I like the originality. I like the chances they took, and I will always respect them for that. It's just, the execution in a couple different areas was absolutely not there. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I do stand by loving the movie. And I said this in the live stream. I'll continue to throw it in. The two-facedness or, the back and forth of some Scream fans on Twitter that we've talked about before will always not necessarily upset me. Like I kind of just laugh at the hypocrisy, of them. There were people that were championing this movie and saying, hey, you can't say anything negative about it. This is a perfect film. 2 weeks after the movie comes out, people are saying it's complete garbage. The switch in some of the fans has been insane, and I don't respect it. I don't respect them. I don't understand why you do that. If you hate the movie at launch, just say you hate them. Just do it. You're honest, and that's completely cool, and I would respect that. But there's people out there that are so, they're so into Scream, and they feel like maybe they have to support it. But then when like the mask is off, right, they're allowed to actually say their thoughts. Well, now they say how bad the movie is. Just be honest in the beginning. You can still tell people to see it because we want more Scream movies, or it's important to support the franchise, even if they're bad. I respect that. In fact, I think I said that before, right? Like that's the weird area that we're in with Scream movies. It's not the most profitable thing of all time, but it's obviously not, losing money. It's a franchise that you have to support to get more of. That's all it is. And yeah, you might get bad products. It's weird, though. You have to support them, but you don't support them meaning money. You just have to pay to see them. I think you can talk about, which is what we did in 5. I think 5 was a very flawed movie. I think more people probably came away from that kind of mixed than anything, right? What did we do? We talked about it. We analyzed it to death, and I truly believe some of that got through to them, and they implemented the new stuff in 6. I do think it literally works. You don't have to lie about it. You can be honest, and you can demand change in certain ways, and then you could hopefully, get it in future movies. So, again, I'm happy with 6 overall. There's absolutely things they can improve upon. I wish I could say that they'll improve upon it in 7, but because of everything, you know what I mean? It really is like a reset, and a lot of the lessons that we might hope that they learn don't even matter at this point, right? Because like you don't have any of these characters, and you might have a few, but you don't have, the path you were going on. It doesn't really make sense, I think, at this point for them to listen to some of our, okay, well, do this with Tara, do this with Sam. Well, it doesn't matter because they're not in the movie anyway, right? Those kind of things. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.